from Col de Besson in the south of France. Welcome to the GCN show!
On Ragbri, the bike ride across Iowa, day 2. Welcome to the GCN show!
From the USA Cycling West Coast Talent ID Camp.
Welcome to the GCN show!
Woo!
Welcome to the GCN show.
This week we look back at a cracking Tour de France and ask the question, how did Chris Froome really win it? Again. Was he weaker this year, man? Just how did he do it?
Plus we'll take a look at La Course. We have some Tour tech for you and an update from Mark Beaumont's round the world record attempt, and we announce the lucky winner of that rather lovely Orbea bicycle. It's not going to be you, I'm afraid, mate.
Is it?
I won't just leave it there. Chris Froome has won his 4th Tour de France, his 3rd in a row.
Yeah, but only his first victory of 2017. And apparently, according to Matt Stats, the last rider to do that was Greg LeMond back in 1990. Like, it's not a terrible thing to have done, only to have won the Tour de France by the end of July, but still, not many people do that.
We'd take it, wouldn't we?
I would, yeah. Just how did he do it? What made the difference then?
Well, I think one of the main differences was the course. It was one of the least challenging courses for years that ASO designed, with only 3 summit finishes as opposed to 5 or 6 in previous years. And what you see is when a stage finishes on the bottom of a descent rather than the top of a climb, it's more difficult for an individual rider to stay clear. Hence, bigger groups of riders going to the finish together.
That is definitely true, and I'm sure that does explain partly as to why the time gaps were smaller. But I actually don't think that Chris Froome was riding his bike up hills quite as fast as he normally does. Now, if you look at the times up climbs, it shows that this year's Tour was fast, but it wasn't super fast.
Now, the first time we've seen Chris Froome produce numbers that we're kind of used to seeing over the past, or the only time, was on the Col de Peyrat, where Chris Froome was forced to chase after a mechanical as AG2R really put the hammer down on the front. Now, estimates suggest that at that time, Froome was producing 6.2 watts per kilogram, albeit at a lower altitude, but for 22 minutes, which, whatever way you look at it, is still pretty punchy.
It's pretty punchy, but it's certainly not exceptional, is it? And if that was the only time he did it in this year's Tour de France, that suggests that it's at a slightly lower level than even previous years, not even accounting for, previous EPO era. Warren Barguil, for example, in some of his escapades this year, did 6.2 watts per kilo, apparently. Warren Barguil, let's just take a moment.
Let's just wax lyrical a bit.
There's something very special about seeing the wearer of the polka dot jersey attacking in the mountains and taking summit finish.
It's proper stuff of legend, isn't it?
It was absolutely brilliant. Anyway, tangent over.
Yep.
Let's get back to our point. Was it then that Chris Froome's Sky teammates were towing him around France? I don't think so. I think they did as much work as they always did, but I don't think they did anything more than normal.
But of all of Chris Froome's teammates, it has to be Michał Kwiatkowski, who was basically the standout star of the team. In particular in the high mountains, really opened a few eyes, although he pointed to stage 22 of this year's Tour de France as the most brutally difficult.
He did, yeah, his tweet said he said as much. And to be fair, I think we can all tell from Matt's voice, actually, that stage 22 of the Tour de France was quite tough this year.
Yeah.
Matt, obviously, having been freshly flown in from the Champs-Elysees. Was that John Degenkolb, Matt?
Yeah.
Nice. He's enjoying the stage 22 as well, isn't he?
Definitely.
Good lad. Right then, anyway, I wondered then whether it all comes down to the time trials. Only 36Ks this year, so that also explains why it was so tight. But I wanted to know whether or not equipment was actually going to be the deciding factor in this year's Tour de France.
Go on.
Right, so I reached out to Xavier Disley, the aero coach, now fount of all knowledge for all things time trialing and aerodynamics. And he, as ever, gave some absolutely fascinating insights. So you ready for this? The final time trial into Marseille, he reckoned that if you were riding a bike that was a kilo lighter or you saved a kilo of body weight, you would go 5 seconds faster. If you save 0.001 meter squared off your drag coefficient, that would make you go 2.2 seconds faster. And 0.001 is not very much at all. It's like an errant brake cable. And then finally, if you put out 5 watts more, that would make you go about 8 seconds faster. So that puts into context that you don't need to do very much to make some pretty sizable differences.
Blimey, so based on those figures, by my own calculations, the difference between Mikel Landa and Romain Bardet was about 300 grams, or the errant brake cable you just described.
Exactly, yeah, that's it. And then to put it in even more crazy context, Romain Bardet didn't ride with a visor on his aero helmet. Apparently that cost him 6.5 seconds. So he nearly lost the Tour de France because of his lack of visor.
Okay, well, what about Froome versus Iran? Because surely doing an endo in the last 350 metres of the TT course isn't the most aerodynamic thing to do, really, is it?
No, not out and out aero. Good save by Iran to ride out that endo. Probably cost him, what, you reckon, about 10 seconds? So not massive at that point in the race. Apparently, although aero data is somewhat difficult to track down sometimes, apparently the bikes of Froome and Iran are actually quite similar. Both are really fast bikes.
But what I think you also have to take into account for Rigoberto Urán, he had that problem, didn't he, on the opening stage TT, where the UCI basically ruled that his position wasn't correct, so he had to change position, and without a shadow of a doubt, that was 5 minutes before the start, without a shadow of a doubt, that would have affected his performance. Lost 50 seconds, didn't he? And Bardet actually beat him in that individual TT as well.
Yeah, he did, yeah. The other thing, I suppose, the differences between the first TT and the second TT is that Chris Froome's controversial, entirely legal. How can you have an entirely legal controversy? Entirely legal, controversial skin suit from that first stage. He obviously wasn't wearing that in the last time trial because he was in the yellow skin suit, albeit a well-tailored skin suit. You say he was being tailored into it at midnight.
Apparently there were up to 20 people fitting him into that skin suit.
That's a lot of people. So you've got to think then that the two guys, equipment-wise, were pretty evenly matched in that final TT, and therefore Froome just went a little bit faster when it mattered.
That is good to know, because as much as we both love a bit of tech, it is actually quite comforting to know that ultimately it is down to who's got the strongest legs. Now, what's quite interesting, Romain Bardet, after the final time trial, said that he specifically didn't focus on the time trial, incredibly, really, because it's not the way he likes to ride, and he doesn't like going out training on his TT bike because he finds it boring.
He's got a few years to make amends, hasn't he? But
Monsieur Bardet, qu'est-ce que tu fais?
Yeah. Anyway, it does go to show that Froome, while not head and shoulders above the rest, was probably the strongest guy in the race and a worthy winner.
Definitely.
Who will I say?
Competition winners time now. Woo-hoo. Little drum roll.
The winner of an Orbea bike.
Yeah.
An Orbea bike.
Yes.
Are you ready? Are you ready? If your name is Voj Lasovic and you live in Croatia, start celebrating now because you've got an Orbea coming your way.
Congratulations in block capitals, underlined, bold, slanty font. Now, the winner of the GoPro Hero 5 session, drumroll please.
Oh yes.
Hope you're watching, Yerny Bog. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Two excellent winners there. And of course, we've got more coming up for you soon. The Canyon bike.
Oh yeah.
The Canyon of your choice.
Make sure you went to that one.
Oh yeah.
And apologies about the pronunciations there.
Yeah, two names, both. They probably don't even know they've won
We
yet.
just did a default setting in English so as not to kind of offend anybody, but yeah.
I tried pretty hard with that one.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Farewell, Tommy Voeckler, one of the most likeable riders in the pro peloton. Will be sadly missed, won't he, with his inimitable style, tongue lolling, bike swinging from side to side. But finally, the curtain has come down on a quite remarkable career. Fittingly, it was at the Tour de France, which was his last ever pro race. Now, think about it, he's ridden the Tour 15 times.
Whoa.
During that time, he's had two pretty long stints in the yellow jersey. He finished 4th overall on one occasion, won 3 stages, as well as the polka dot jersey. He will be missed. And from all of us here at GCN, adieu and bonne chance, Tommy Voeckler.
Absolutely.
That's a little bit more Tour de France news, this time transfer rumours.
Oh, rumour mill.
Yeah, Mikel Nieve of Team Sky, after spending 4 years at the British squad, is moving across to the Aussie team, Orica Scott.
Really?
Meanwhile,
good rumour.
A Mobistar rider is coming across to Team Sky, and that is TT specialist Jonathan Castroviejo.
Really? What about Landa going the other way?
Well, I think it's going to happen, isn't it? It's not official yet, but
No.
I think Landa's going to be going to the men in green and blue.
Now, a few weeks back, Matt and Dan looked at weird places to ride a bike, or more accurately perhaps, weird places to pedal like you're riding a bike. And GCN viewer Niall Patterson got in touch to tell us about the British Human-Powered Flight Association competition that is going on at the moment. Have a look at this video. How cool is that?
Yeah, this is Niall himself in the aerocycle, performing a full 360-degree turn, cranking out 355 watts in order to do it.
That is wicked, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder what happened if you gave Peter Sagan an aerocycle.
Probably tear it to pieces with his
Yeah,
raw
he
power.
would. No one give Peter Sagan an aerocycle. Right, now the Tour de France may sadly be over, Matt, but the round the world cycling adventures of Mark Beaumont certainly aren't. In fact, he's probably just getting warmed up right now. As Brian Stewart pointed out on Twitter with this graph, Mark has already ridden double the distance of the Tour de France in the same time span, and he's nowhere near France anymore. In fact, he's on the doorstep of Mongolia as we speak.
Well, we're so close to the Mongolian border now. I've been quite looking forward to getting out of Russia. It's had its good bits, but it's been way, way tougher than I expected. Back on a 240-mile day today, which is a relief. It's been a battle at times. I didn't think I would quite make mileage, but the last 20k, just beautiful descent, just down, 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 just cruisy. It's unbelievable how the landscape has changed. Climbing up from the lakeside, you know, it still looked utterly Russian, if that makes any sense. And then suddenly we turned the corner, and I've done this weird sort of dog leg to sort of cut south to Mongolia, and it's suddenly open, barren, almost no trees. You know, there's herdsmen in the field. It just looks entirely different, which is incredible, absolutely amazing. Quite excited about what lies ahead now.
Oh, sorry.
Matt!
Sorry.
Oh, it's silent.
Sorry, hold on a minute. It's Lloydie. Damn. I thought you were on holiday, mate. Yeah. So, some news for us.
Breaking news.
Yeah. You'd like to have your finger on the pulse. Yeah, we know. Can you just cut? We're shooting the show. Peter Sagan, new haircut. Now, we've already seen most of the cool new tech out the Tour de France, but several lucky riders, just for the final day of the Tour de France, got some pretty special custom paint jobs. Have a look at these.
They did, right. So first we've got Chris Froome's Pinarello F10 Yellow Edition. I like that, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of yellow bikes normally, but I'd take that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Hasn't got yellow bar tape.
No, but you wouldn't put yellow bar tape with that. That is lovely. That's a classy bike, that actually.
This is Michael Bling Matthews. Well, that's his giant TCR in green. Of course, a nod to his points jersey competition win. I mean, you wouldn't ordinarily buy a green bike. Well, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
But
if I had a green jersey that I'd won, I'd be tempted. In fact, I'd probably demand a green bike. And he's gone for green bar tape as well.
He has.
I like that.
Yeah, I
that's
think
cool.
it's all right. Yeah, definitely a hot.
Oh, Simon Yates.
That's a lovely photograph,
Scott
isn't it?
Addict, yeah, lovely. And let's face it, you can't go wrong with white.
You can't. But it's not too much white. Look, little touches of black, little cracks
That's
there.
classy,
It
yeah.
just looks like a nice bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
That's class.
Thumbs up.
Nice work, yeah, well done.
Okay. And then we have another giant TCR, unsurprisingly. Sunweb, one of the most successful teams in the Tour. No points for guessing whose bike that is, Warren Barguil, but
There's not much you can do with polka dots, is
yeah,
there, really?
I mean, would you buy that? You kind of, but if you were looking at advantages, you'd ride it. But
I tell you what,
it's
you've got to say about
looks like it's got
Barguil.
measles. Weird.
Yeah. One thing you can say about Barguil is that he didn't wear polka dot shorts. He wore black shorts with his polka dot jersey. That means, in my eyes, he's got a long and pretty prosperous career ahead of him, actually, because he's clearly got, he's just got it sorted up there, hasn't he?
Although, have a look at this. He loses a couple of points. There was some polka dot handlebar tape there as well. He had a close look.
Yeah. Maybe that was the mechanic's practical joke.
And finally, I think this is my favourite. Heima Zubeldia, the veteran rider for Trek Segafredo, has been riding in the peloton for 20 years.
Whoa.
And Trek rolled out this Modone to celebrate one of his final Tour de France, and you can just see on the seat tube there, 20 years in the pro peloton, 16 rides in the Tour de France,
wow,
12 rides at the Vuelta, and one ride at the Giro d'Italia. But doesn't that look? It's beautiful, understated.
Let's take a moment, shall we?
Yeah, let's just reflect. Yeah, I'd buy that.
Yeah.
Women's racing has seen a little bit of a shake-up with the latest iteration of La Course, organised, of course, by the Tour de France. Now, stage 1 finished up the mighty Col d'Izoard and was won in simply dominating fashion by Annemiek van Vleuten of Orica Scott, who put 43 seconds into Lizzie Deignan of Boels-Dolmans, who was in fact on the lower slopes of the climb, actually working for her teammate Megan Gagne.
Yeah, Van Vleuten's time up the Izoard was staggeringly fast, wasn't it? She now sits 3rd overall on Strava, or Times Up Climbs,
As is now known.
we like to call it, yeah. Just behind Warren Barguil and Romain Bardet. She conceded just 1 minute 45 seconds to Bardet up there.
Do you know what she deserves for that performance?
Pat on the back,
Well, yeah,
equal prize money.
that as well. This week's Wattage Bazooka!
You know what, Matt? To be fair, I think she could have got Wattage Bazooka for stage 2 as well, which was contested on the same route as the men's stage 20 time trial in Marseille. And it worked, well, very differently to normal in that riders were set off in the same order that they finished and with the same time gaps at the top of the Col d'Izoard.
Yeah, it was kind of like the Hammer Series. I think that's the best comparison to use, but not on TT bikes, on road bikes. Now actually, a couple of the riders, or 3 riders in fact, that set off after Van Vleuten, rather than ride individually, because there were a few seconds between them, they waited and actually formed a trio of riders to try and work against Van Vleuten. I think quite a shrewd move, but Van Vleuten was so strong, she actually extended her lead, I think about 1 minute 22 at the end, so a real dominating and comfortable victory by her.
In the men's event, which is another way of saying the Tour de France.
The Tour.
Yeah, I think we all know the results already. And I think it was a mixed race this year for some people, wasn't it? I think the early departure of riders like Valverde, like Sagan, like Port through crashes, and then obviously the bizarre disqualification of Peter Sagan kind of took the edge off it for some people. But personally, let's not beat around the bush here. I think it was a great race, as packed with intrigue as ever. What's your highlight?
I agree, it was a very, very different tour to what I've seen in the past. But my highlight, we've already mentioned him before, was just the quite staggering riding of Michał Kwiatkowski of Team Sky. To me, he's the embodiment of commitment. He's the perfect team rider. The best illustration, I think, came on stage 18, which finished up the Col d'Izoard, where he rode on the front for kilometre after kilometre, nearly turned himself inside out, setting an infernal pace for Chris Froome to later attack off, dropping half of the contenders as well, and literally rode himself to a standstill. And I've never seen that before.
No,
I've seen
either.
riders swinging off and end up at walking pace, but never actually needing to put their foot down.
I assume there was a UCI rule banning it.
Yeah,
Stopping.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, he certainly deserved this, didn't he?
Yeah.
Check this out.
Strong social media output.
Strong.
Yeah,
Very,
that's
very
good
strong.
work. That worth a follow for sure. I'm going to say Contador generally was a highlight for me. I loved his attitude in this race. Now, yeah, he wasn't contesting for GC, but I love the fact that despite being a rider with his palmarès, with the number of big race victories to his name, he was still willing to lay it all out on the road and entertain the fans. That's a great attitude to have, I think.
That's what he said. Post-race interview that day, he said, I failed, I wasn't as strong, but I wanted to put on a show. And that, to a degree, is what professional sports
There's a lot
is
of
all
value in
about,
that.
isn't it?
Yeah. Now, we also, of course, asked you guys what you thought, and of amongst the many, many hundreds of responses we got, we picked out this one.
Yeah, this is from Wadir Kakal. Apologies if I've got your name wrong there, but seeing Aru in the climb where he took the yellow jersey from Froome was fantastic. That's the highlight for me. That I definitely agree with that.
Yeah,
That was a special ride by Aru on that day.
It was.
Well, so let's not wait any longer. It's time for our predictions.
I don't think we've got time actually this year.
No,
I'm just getting on the radio. No
I can
time.
hear Johnny. So we have got time. We've got time for the predictions.
Richie Port, I think he's actually going to do it this year. I think he's going to beat Chris Froome.
Nairo Quintana.
Chris Froome.
Mr. Chris Froome.
Well, I'm Matt. I'm Dan on holiday. Right, what about the green jersey then? This is bad.
But we've all gone for Peter Sagan to win the green jersey. Now, we're not exactly going out on a limb with that prediction.
We're not exactly going
But it
out on a
either means that we are going to get something right,
For sure, I am not agree with them.
or it's going to prove that there is actually a GCN curse. You're going to feel guilty if he doesn't win the green jersey.
I will, mate. I will feel genuinely guilty.
I think I would feel guilty.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why Peter Sagan has shaved his hair to look more like Lloydie, to kind of do away with the curse?
I thought he's becoming like a kung fu master, and he's going to come here and.
Spooky, isn't it?
I genuinely, that is pretty freaky.
Shivered up my spine.
Now, before we leave racing news this week, we've got to give a quick shout out. What is bazooka style to the Cowley Road Condors? Apparently, they racked up another victory, this time with Mimi, who unleashed a one-lap sprint. Now, when you hear that the lap is over 1 kilometre long,
whoa,
that's impressive.
That's
that is
long
what
ranger.
is bazooka
That's
worthy.
a long ranger.
Yeah, congratulations to you.
It's time for hack / very neat
Thanks.
bodge of the week. And first up is this from Tim Thompson, which is quite
Whoa.
incredible. Yeah, a customer left it parked in front of Rainbow Cycles in Southern Pines in the USA, while he test rode another bike. I mean, what is that? An unnecessarily large mirror, and then a bin liner and a plastic bag wrapped to the top tube with some old bits of rope that looks like it's been washed off the beach.
At least the owner was looking at buying a new bike. I mean, imagine the drag coefficient of that.
I mean,
wind mirror.
Disley will be just tearing his hair out, wouldn't he?
Absolutely, yeah, right. That's a definite bodge, isn't it? Although it probably gives him pretty good rear view.
Yeah.
A rear view, rather. Right. Anyway, I'm going to name this a hack even before we even started.
That's neat.
Yeah, this is Ro Marcus on Instagram, who has basically got a remote battery charge, an external battery to charge up his phone on his handlebars for ultra endurance rides. But he's attached to his bike using a mini pump holder. Look at that.
Would you take that on one of
Perfect.
your ultra endurance rides? Now you're a bit of an expert.
I wasn't planning on doing any more ultra
No, was that
endurance
it?
after that. Yeah, that's
short,
my career.
Very, very short.
Now I may be
endurance
tempted back.
career there.
Yeah, brilliant idea. Brilliant.
Indeed. Well, next up we have this from Studio Noesis over on Instagram. My new custom 3D printed Samsung case built in a Garmin mount. Good for navigation and perfect watching GCN when I'm out on the turbo trainer. No, we didn't pay him to say that. He actually did it.
Look,
that's really, really neat.
That is
isn't it?
cool. And
whoa, that's super pro.
he could get a remote battery holder, attach it to his bike with a mini pump holder, and then he could basically watch GCN for hours and hours and hours.
Those two guys could just hook each other up and just
Epic
great.
turbo sessions. Yeah, that's another hack there.
Yeah.
Right there. Right, this one from Toby Loveday on Twitter. He said, "What to do with an old frame?" And he's made it into like a spotlight, like an angle poise, but with no flexibility.
I didn't see that. So in the head tube, there's a bulb.
Yeah, look at that on his desk.
Oh, that's quite arty.
It's cool, isn't it? Yeah.
Practical and arty at the same time.
Yeah, fair play. I like that. It looks very cool. Very cool indeed.
Indeed. And finally, we have this. That's a bodge, isn't it?
Wow.
It's just...
I thought initially, well, that looks rubbish. And then I thought, well, actually, that's quite a good way of getting chamois cream out, isn't it? Because you don't have to dip your hand in and then... But then I thought, well, actually, if you've already pumped and wiped...
You're still going to get it on your fingers.
And then go back for another pump. But actually, no, you wouldn't, because you'd have a spare hand. Maybe it is quite good. Maybe that is a hack in the making.
Maybe that's just a vessel, because he's got just a massive vat. That he'd save carrying it around to races. He kind of just puts some in that little vessel there and takes it on like a little portable handy dispenser.
Well, you could obviously donate chamois cream to your teammates easier than with a pot, which is obviously,
It's like tea and chamois cream.
Yeah.
No double dipping.
Are we going to say it's a hack then? Fair play, Andy. That is a hack.
Gone to town on that label as well.
Yeah, nice font.
Time now for Caption of the Week. Remember, if you enter and we choose it, you win one of these lovely Camelback GCN bead-ons. Very much sought after. But last week's picture was this, and the winner is Sergio Cuellar, who said, Caption, it's Marcel Kittel, not Vittel. Sobs. 13 likes.
That's not bad.
Can't argue with that, can you?
14 likes. Congratulations, you have got a GCN Camelback water bottle. Get in touch and we'll send it through the post. Simple as that.
Well, next up is this. Well, it's firstly Romain Bardet with Emmanuel Macron at the finish of the Tour de France stage. A lovely smile, first off.
Yeah.
But you've been practicing, haven't you?
Okay. And I said to President Trump, I understand your handshake game and I will beat you.
The bar set as high as ever. You know what to do. Leave your comments down below.
Sorry if that's offended French people, Americans, members of the globe, world. Sorry about that.
On the channel this week, on Wednesday we have how to ride in hot weather, although there is a bit of a caveat with that one. It's yet to pass the censor or be released because it does actually contain scenes of Simon here in, well, without a jersey. So it could be quite disturbing. So wait and see if that one actually does come out. On Thursday, it's 5 reasons, that you should use a power meter. And on Friday is Ask GC Anything.
Yeah, Saturday we have Alberto Contador's Pro Bike, his new Trek in Monda. And then we've also got another one. This time it's my Trek Crockett cyclocross / gravel bike with SRAM 1 bike. A lot of you were asking about the bike that I rode in that recent GMBN video. So there it is. It's going to be out on Saturday. And then Sunday, if you watch the power meter video on Thursday and you don't have a power meter, it's your big opportunity to get one because we're unboxing a Quark D0 and a D4 power meter as well. And then Monday, workshop time. Happy days.
And then Tuesday,
boom, right back here, another show.
From the top of Molass Pass on Ride the Rockies 2017, this is the GCN show.
Right, unfortunately, that is the end of the GCN show for this week. Before we do go, though, we've got to give a bit of a shout out to shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com. We've got some new stuff in there at the moment, including these. Now, we'd love to illustrate them properly because they are can coolers, so thermal insulators. But Lloydie's drunk all the cans.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you just have to use your imagination there.
Yeah, and as you may have noticed, look at these.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's the brand new t-shirt available in the shop, and I do like this fetching baby blue, and you are looking remarkably stylish.
Thank you very much,
in that
man.
navy blue number as well.
Yeah.
And don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed to the Global Cycling Network, your one-stop shop for all things cycling, it's free. Click on the globe. Now, for another video that I really love doing, really insightful, quite interesting, is flats versus clipless. What's the difference, basically?
Yeah.
It's great.
More than you might think, actually. There's a lot of controversy in the comments under that.
Yeah.
Then, for one last final video from the Tour de France, why not check out how to train like a pro? There's a training session in there that I challenge you to try and complete.
And don't forget to like and also to share this video.
Yeah.